Get ready for your daily dose of WordPress and web development tips, tricks, and insights to help you find success with WordPress. You're listening to WP the Podcast with your hosts, David Blackman and Tim Streifler.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of WP the Podcast. My name is David Blackman.
And I'm Tim Streifler.
Episode 1, Tim.
Yes, finally, we are here.
Finally, on the map.
Yeah, so this episode, we're discussing where to learn WordPress. And David, you and I discussed how we have a similar learning style. Everyone learns a little bit differently. But for you and I, we learn by doing, getting our hands dirty, rolling up the sleeves, and just kind of diving in. And so do you want to share with our listeners kind of what you recommend doing even before going into some of these resources we're going to share?
Absolutely, would love to, Tim. Today we're going to, give you 7 good takeaways of places to learn WordPress, both free and premium, both, not both. But I will share with you what my experience is and what I feel like works best, what worked out really good for me. And that is just diving straight in, finding some cheap hosting, install WordPress, and go out there and find a theme that you really, really like and that really is appealing to you. Install that theme and then just start swapping out the content, swapping out the images, and build the website. What it did for me was it allowed me to see how the back end of WordPress operated, and it taught me a lot just by digging in and getting my hands dirty with a different theme, a WordPress theme or a child theme for something like Divi or Genesis or one of the other platforms.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's how I learned as well. WordPress, when you're just getting started, it's a little confusing how things are laid out. And so for me, it wasn't until I was actually in there trying to move stuff around, adding content, finding out, in order to add the footer, I need to go into the widget section and, where's that? And so that's how I learned best. Other people might have different experiences, but that's typically what we recommend. And then you can use some of these other resources almost to kind of supplement your knowledge and fill in the gaps. And, things will kind of come full circle as you're watching the videos or reading the resources and so forth.
Awesome. Well, let's dive straight into the list. And what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of go through our free ones first, and then we'll give you some paid options should you choose to go that route and you decide that this is something that you want to pursue long term. First one, obviously, no-brainer, YouTube. You can build a rocket ship on YouTube, Tim.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is kind of crazy. You can, there are several YouTube authors out there, creators who give some great examples of how to build WordPress website. One of them is WP Crafter. Another one is Tyler Moore. Just Google them, Tyler Moore, WP Crafter. You're going to see they'll take you and walk you through building a website from A to Z with a video tutorial. What's number 2, Tim?
Number 2 is the WP Beginner blog. It is a huge resource. It's by the guy who started it is kind of a WordPress legend, I guess you could say, a guy named Saeed Belki. David and I, we both had the pleasure of meeting him in person this past April at Pressnomics. Extremely nice guy, very open to sharing his knowledge, which is what he does on WP Beginner. Now he has a whole staff of writers, but everything you can imagine from little simple things to how to configure different plugins. WP Beginner is a great place to start. And a lot of times when you do Google searches, you'll see WP Beginner. They rank at the top for a lot of WordPress related keywords. Yeah,
just about anything WordPress you can find at WP Beginner. I totally agree. Number 3 on our list, learn.wordpress.com. This is going to have all of your WordPress content that Automattic puts out for creating posts, pages, anything to do with the platform WordPress. There's going to be tutorials and walkthroughs on that site. I like WP Beginner and YouTube a little bit better because it's not as technical, and there's practical examples of how to build a restaurant website, so on and so forth. Where learn.wordpress.com is going to teach you how to, utilize, create a post, add an image to post, do kind of basic generic stuff. So That's our
Right.
number 3 on the list. What's number 4, Tim?
Number 4 is WordPress.tv. And basically, WordPress.tv has a bunch of videos from WordCamps all across the country. And so if you're not familiar with what a WordCamp is, it's something that we highly recommend getting involved with. Basically, it's their local meetups centered around WordPress. You hear speakers that some come from all over, some are in your local area, and they teach you different things about WordPress and running a business around WordPress and marketing and so forth. And so WordPress.tv is a central place online where you can watch all of those presentations from a lot of really smart people and a lot of really reputable people in the WordPress community.
And this is a shout out to WordCamp US coming up in December. Should you
Yes.
choose Tim and I to speak, which we submitted a talk, you can watch us on WordPress.tv.
Absolutely.
Shameless plug, Tim. Sorry about that.
Yeah, there'll be a few of those sprinkled throughout this podcast.
Right. All right. Well, let's go on to number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or actually, yes, number 5. WordPress Codex. You may be asking yourself, scratching your head, what is the WordPress Codex? WordPress Codex is an online manual for WordPress, and it's a living repository that WordPress community can contribute to. Documentation. So as you know, WordPress being an open source platform, WordPress Codex allows coders and contributors to WordPress, input all of that data and knowledge and stuff. So it is basically like a mini WordPress search engine. Anything you want to know about WordPress, you can find in the Codex.
Yeah, another thing to add to that, I was going to say it's almost like a mini Wikipedia specifically for WordPress, because it's kind of that wiki style of knowledge base, so to speak. And so, yeah, just similar to Wikipedia where you have contributors from all over the world. Same thing with WordPress Codex, but it's all WordPress related.
All right, Tim, what about number
6?
6?
Number 6 is kind of a no-brainer, and that's Google. Using Google to find things that you need to learn. And this is actually probably one of my biggest resources, which it's kind of an indirect resource because Google's going to lead you to other resources. But as I mentioned, I learned by getting my hands dirty and just getting in there and trying stuff. And so I would basically Google different things that I needed to learn when I needed to learn it. I figured out, okay, I learned how to install WordPress. Now the next thing is I need to learn how to change the footer. Okay, Google, how to change the footer in WordPress. And so Google is a great gateway to, lots of different resources, for specific things you're trying to do in that moment.
Absolutely. Great resource. Totally agree. Use Google all the time. The next 4 resources that we're going to use, we're not going to spend a tremendous amount of time diving into them, but they're paid versions, and they're options for learning WordPress and taking your skill set to the next level. Our first resource that we're going to give a shout out to is our good buddy Sean Heskes at WP 101. Sean has put together courses and anything, tutorial videos for beginners. Anything that you want to know how to do in WordPress, pretty much Sean covers it. So head on over to WP101.com. to let Sean know that David and Tim and WP the podcast sent you. Great resource for learning. What's next?
Yeah, and one thing to add to that is he does a great job of updating all of his videos with new versions of WordPress. And so when there's a new version of WordPress that changes the user interface, he already, using the beta version, already creates those videos. So when that new version launches, he launches the new versions of those tutorials so that it matches the current version of WordPress, which is pretty incredible that he's able to stay on top of that.
All right. What about number 8, Tim?
Number 8 is iThemes training, which this one is near and dear to my heart because I learned a lot. As I mentioned, I learned first by kind of diving in and then Googling stuff. And then once I realized, hey, I'm going to be doing this for a while, I really enjoy creating websites with WordPress. I signed up for a membership with iThemes. I think their toolkit includes iThemes training, videos, step-by-step, lots of great content. But again, it is premium. It does cost money.
Awesome. Number 9 is, and this is one of our final 2, lynda.com. You're probably familiar with lynda.com. All things online courses. Doesn't have to do just with WordPress. They offer graphic design, pretty much anything that you want to learn, you can learn on lynda.com. But they have some great web development courses that cover WordPress. What about our last number 10, Tim?
Our last one is udemy.com, very similar to lynda.com, by different contributors, different courses. Again, not specifically WordPress, but they do have a lot of WordPress-related content, so it can be a great resource.
Fantastic. All right, Tim, it looks like we've come to the end of episode 1. 10 minutes.
Episode 1 in the bag.
Boom. Check us out every day. We're going to be giving away great, wonderful WordPress tips. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
See you next time.
We've come to the end of today's episode of WP the Podcast. Join us tomorrow for more daily tips and strategies designed to help you run your WordPress business toward success. Remember to subscribe to WP the Podcast so you can stay up to date with each episode. And don't forget to rate and review us. We'll see you again tomorrow right here on WP the Podcast.